So now that we have assigned our upper left and lower right, it's time to go ahead and pull out that Excel spreadsheet that I was referring to. Let's go ahead and find that spreadsheet. I don't know where I saved. Distribution, utilities, UTM Grid North. So let's go ahead and open that. So here is this calculator that we will be using. So what you need is you need the latitude and longitude of one of the coordinates, and then based on that latitude and longitude, here is a formula is used to calculate the total, to calculate the difference between the true north and the grid north. And then we will be using this number in the Google heading, so that everything will be now changed to the grid north that we'll be using in EFT Explorer or CBL grid. Okay, so let's go to Google Earth back again. So now let's go ahead and copy the coordinates of upper left. It doesn't matter which one you copy, it should be the same. Go to, in order to view the coordinates, right click that and go to properties. So here you can see your latitude. Let's copy the latitude and paste it to this calculator sheet on the spreadsheet, and latitude should go on the bottom, longitude should go on the top. Make sure to copy the sign, it's a negative. So after you input that, it will automatically calculate what was the difference that we were going to use in our Google Earth. So now you can see the number is minus 0.61. That's the number that we're going to input in our Google Earth. Okay, let's go to Google Earth. Now I have my place mark already open. Go to view here, and then you see the heading over here. Now we'll input that number. What was it? Minus 0.61. So it's not selected somehow. Minus 0. So if you do not adjust this number, so if you import into EE, it will slightly be skewed to, there will be slight differences. You might want to do that. So before, now when I click OK, if you look here closely, it will slightly shift direction. Yeah, it's just a little. Okay, now it's true north that we can, this is the north direction that we might want to use. So let's go ahead and save this image. So in order to save it, go to File, Save, and depending on what version of Google Earth you are using, yeah, just cross this here, place mark. Yeah, yeah, clear search.
Oh, okay.
So if you still have that, we're going to save our image. Save. It's save. I think there should be somewhere here. Save image. Save image is over here on the top menu on the second last button. Click on Save menu. So by default, it will give you several options, legend and the title of the map, but we don't want anything here. We just want a straight map. So what I want you to go to this map options here, and there is a drop down. If you click, and then just unselect everything, because we don't want too much information. So after you have done that, just click the same button, then you'll get a neat so when you're saving, you will notice it will automatically clip the image. If your image does not have upper left and lower right icon, just make sure you zoom in or zoom out to fix that. Okay, so resolution, I would want to save it as high as I can, probably 1920 at least. I'll save it at a resolution of 1920 by 1080. So yeah, so that even if you zoom, it will still be in a good resolution. By default it's a 764, so it will get distorted when you zoom in. Okay, I'll just use 1920 by 1080 pixels. So after you do that, my upper left is gone, so I have to go back and fix that. So to fix that, I'll just zoom out a little bit and probably make it center and go back again and change the resolution. Still okay, you can just drag if you can. Okay, so I'll call it good, and I'll click on save image. So let's try to find the same folder where we have been working before. Keeping things at the same time, same location would help a lot. Go to training 2017 Edmonds. This is a georeferencing. I'll just create a separate folder, maps /t. So Lake T, I don't know, you can write Tonotosa. I'll just write T for Lake T. And maps, save your map and give a name, Google Earth Lake T. Okay, save it. It takes a while to process. Now that our image is saved, what we need to do is copy the coordinates of this upper left and lower right to Excel somewhere, so you can bring it into EFT Explorer, because these are the points that we'll use to georeference. You can close this image now. Let's go ahead and copy it now. Coordinates, properties, go to properties. Okay, one thing you need to change, because the grid we have created is in UTM coordinates, right? So you want the UTM coordinates, not the lat long. So in order to go to do that, let's go to tools on the top, click on options, and check this universal transverse marketer. That's a UTM. That's what we were going to use. Apply, click OK. So this default unit is in meters. If it's different, then you might want to change to meters. If you hover over here, it will say numbers and meters, easting, numbers, meter, and northing. So on the bottom here. So make sure your units are in meters, because in EFTC model we are trying to follow SI units. Or if you have created a grid in different units, just try to be consistent. That's all. Tool. Yeah, before that you go to tools and dragging down menu. Oh, tools. Okay, sorry. Yeah. Options, right? Right. Yeah. 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 So under the show lat long, before we were using decimal degrees. Now we're going to use UTM. That's a universal transverse marketer. Yeah. And after you change that, just click OK. So if you now hover over on your workspace, you'll see your UTM coordinates. So if you right click on your upper left and go to properties, you'll see your eastings and northings on this UTM coordinates. Let's go ahead and copy this. It doesn't matter, you can copy everything, and then I'll just put it on the same spreadsheet so it's easier to find. I would create a new sheet and write upper left and lower right, and then copy and upper left, Control V. Try to copy first easting and then northing, so it's easier to paste when you're pasting into EFT Explorer. Now let's copy your northings, copy and paste to Excel. the reason I'm copying to Excel is later when you are importing into EE or CBL grid, you can copy this whole thing and it will automatically copy the lat long into the EFT Explorer. So that's the only thing I'm using Excel. You can use Notepad or whatever you want. Okay, now let's copy the coordinates for lower right. Right click and go to properties, copy the eastings, Control C, Control V, copy the northings, Control C, Control V. Okay. So now that we have copied the coordinates for upper left and lower right, now we are done with the Google Earth part. So we have saved the image. We now have the georeference coordinates for those bullseye or this target symbol for upper left and lower right. Now let's go to our EFT Explorer. I would just use EFT Explorer. Let's go to this drop down menu next to this what does it say, utilities, I think. Click on Bitmap Georeferencing in your EFT Explorer. So your bitmap georeferencing should look like this. Let's go ahead and bring our saved Google image into this. In order to do that, the easier way to go is go to File, Load Bitmap File. Now try to find the location where you saved your image. I saved my image on Maps-T. So there is my image thing there. Google Earth Lake T. Click Open. So it will open in my workspace now. Because the resolution was too high, you cannot see everything at once. You have to drag it. So it's better you have higher resolution. The higher the resolution, the better, because you can see that point clearly and you can select that points. So is everyone on the same page so far? So now next thing what we are going to do is, now we are assigning these 2 points and they will have a pixel coordinates. So if you look on the bottom, it has pixel X and pixel Y. So this would have different pixel X and Y coordinates, and the upper one would have different X and Y pixel coordinates. So here it's a 0.1. Now let's go ahead and right click right at the center of this upper left. You can zoom in if you want. Just right click and then it will give you 2 options, 0.1 or 0.2. I will use it as a 0.1. Let's go ahead and click 0.1. Okay. So next thing I'm going to do is go to that second target and try to find the center and right click and assign that as a 0.2. Okay. So after you have assigned 0.1 and 0.2, you will notice here on the reference points, your 0.1 and 0.2 has been assigned the pixels. So 0.1 is 169.58. It might be different on yours, but it doesn't matter. The most important thing is matching the coordinates to these pixels. So now let's go to Excel and bring back our coordinates. So upper left is our 0.1. So copy this whole these 2 cells and Control C. Let's copy both, or you can copy individual. And then select this X field and hit Control V. It should automatically take both of those values. Okay. So if you think that was wrong, you can hit reset, but I'm not going to do that now. Now the second one is lower right. Copy these, Control C, go back to our georeferencing window, Control V. So now we have everything that we needed to provide to this program. So you can see 0.1 has pixel coordinates, X and Y coordinates, 0.2 has the same. So after you are satisfied with what you have done, let's go ahead and click update. So after you hit update, you will now see your upper left corner of the image and the lower right corner of the image are now assigned a value. So every location now has its own coordinate, because it's like X and Y axis. You have given values to those X and Y axis. Let's go ahead and now save it. File, Save Georeference File. Okay, so by default it will give you georeference option, and the extension is GEO. Will keep the same extension. If you want, you can change the file name, but I'll keep it the same default, and go ahead and click save. So now let's go ahead and view the format of that GEO file. It's actually not the format, it's just a pointer. They're saying that this file has these coordinates, so I want to use the file. I think it's easier to explain after looking at the file actually. Let me pull it here. Maps T. So this was the file that we just created from EFT Explorer, right? Now right click, and it can be edited with a notepad. I have notepad++. So here it has this information. So if you have multiple georeference file, it should have this information. The first line is giving the information like geomap1, and then it points to the file geoearth-lake-t.jpg, and then what was the angle, what was the lower coordinates for the lower right and upper left, and the pixel for upper left, lower right, and all other options. So if you have multiple files, now you can just copy this same information from different files and bring it over to this file. So that way, if you import this lake-t.geo file, you can import 5 or 10 different images using the same geo file. Yeah, just paste this information because you have multiple geo files, so that's really helpful if you want to, bigger areas. You cannot have a single image, and sometimes if it's too big, then it's hard to align the actual shorelines, so you can bring different chunks together and plot it in the model. Now let's go ahead and see if it actually worked in our model. So all of you had this now I'll go ahead and close it since I saved it. Okay, so it just close it. So I already have that model hydro. If you haven't loaded into your EFT Explorer, please go ahead and find that model and just drag it here, or go to browse and find the location where you have saved. So if all of you have loaded that, let's go to view plan and see. Go to this green button on the top that says display georeference backgrounds. So by default it comes, not sure which image it used. By default it will use the one in the program, so I think it's the one that was saved before, so it's not the file that you saved. But let's go ahead and click that again, and then it will ask for a load a georeference file, and then I will go to my folder, C drive, training, Edmunds maps T, and then I'll select this file, click open. Now it should show it like that. Now you can see your grid is pretty much following the shoreline, and it looks really nice when you are showing any animation or any videos to your colleagues or anyone. Even you can use this image when if you write a paper or something, so people understand the actual landmarks on the background. So if you zoom out, you will still see your upper left and lower right, but it's way beyond our domain, so we don't care about that. So this is how you do georeferencing. Okay, another cool thing I want to show here while we still have some time. So we can save this grid as a KML file. So KML is a Google Earth format. This grid, and then display in Google Earth. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. So in order to do that, look at the top menu where it says dat. There is a drop down next to that, and there are several options. You can export it to TechPlot if you are using that TechPlot software to create graphs. You can export to KML, shapefile, export to Swan if you're, yeah, yeah, and even NetCDF. So for now, we can, let's go ahead and export to KML. It will save to the default analysis folder. That is fine. Save. So it is asking what is the opacity you want to use. I think I would just use 100% now. But if you want to see something, if you want to see the shoreline below the grid, you might want to change the opacity to somewhere 50. Let's say 50. Click OK. Now it processed, and after everything is done, it says finished on the bottom. Okay. Now let's go ahead and go to our project folder. So sometimes you load a model and you don't know where is your project folder, right? It's hidden somewhere inside your subfolder. So another easier way to find out is if you click here DSI button, right click. So after you right click, it says copy the project path to the clipboard. So now your project location is on your clipboard. Go to your File Explorer and Control V. So it should take us to our project folder. So all of you should have these files, and we saved our file on analysis folder. By default it gave this name, so we have this KML extension. Now we are ready to view this on Google Earth. Let's go ahead and double click it. Did it do right? Okay. So the reason it's doing that because you have not specified your UTM zones. Let's go ahead and fix that. It's good. Everything doesn't work at the same time, so you can debug what's going on. I think it was UTM Zone 2 and 10, right? Should come here. So the ETM Join, if you look here on the bottom, it says it's 17, but under model somehow it's 10. Let's go ahead and change that. So here UTM Join is saying 10, so it's on different locations. So it's important to enter this information if it's not right. Let's go ahead and change to 17. Northing and eastings also skip it. Latitude, longitude also doesn't seem right. Oh, yeah, I went to domain. Sorry, I was a little fast. Go to domain, and on the grid first tab on the right it says modal position at center. Yeah. Let's see if it works. I'll just leave everything as default. If it doesn't, I will have to change the northing and eastings. 17 is the UTM zone. Every region in the world has the UTM zone associated. So here I hover over here, and here it says 17. Yeah. Yeah. I think this Excel is still also has. So here there is a spreadsheet where it has zone, and you have the coordinates. Based on what coordinates you are in, the zone are determined. Yeah. So you can use this spreadsheet to find out which UTM zone you are in, because you can easily find out what's your coordinates, but sometimes it's tricky to find out whether you are in 16 or 17. Let's see if it works now. Let's go ahead and save it. so that it reflects on your model. Go to that KML. It used to ask what UTM coordinate you want to save it, but no longer ask. Now it's asking. Not sure why it didn't ask. Did it ask now? What UTM coordinates is UTM zone? It's 17. Click OK. 50. OK. Now let's go back to our folder and see. I mean, it's fine, but as long as your KML now displays. Let me check if it works now. Okay, it did work. So it went here, right? Go to the dat export KML. I'll just overwrite it, and then it asks me this. Does it ask you? Same location? Oh, did you not save? Yeah, you need. You have to save it. Yeah. So anything you change, you just have to. Yeah. Somehow it's asking me, but if it's not asking you, did it ask you? Okay. It should have asked the first time. I'm not sure why it did not. Now it should display on the right place. So mine looks like this. The reason it's not too bright is because I chose 50 opacity. If you really want it opaque, you change the opacity to 100% so you can see it clearly. So if you don't want to bring map into your model, you just bring your grid into your map. That's another way to verify, you're on the right spot. Okay, so here you can, all of these points has individual layers. So if you want to hide some of these, you can just decide to uncheck, and then you'll notice the point over here just got hidden. But I don't see a reason to hide these. So there should be some couple options. Well, that's how you export your model to Google Earth. Anything else I want to show you?